It's very important to like the people you work with, otherwise life in your job is going to be quite miserable. I wouldn't say I have a lack of fear. In fact, I'd like my fear emotion to be less because it is very distracting and fries my nervous system. Engineering is the closest thing to magic that exists in the world. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have all the ingredients in the right proportion. If something has to be designed and invented, and you have to figure out how to ensure that value of the thing you create is greater than the cost of the inputs, then that is probably my core skill. When Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said, "Nah, what's wrong with a horse?" That was a huge bet he made, and it worked. My biggest mistake is probably weighing too much on someone's talent and not someone's personality. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. When you struggle with the problem, that's when you understand it. I don't spend my time pontificating about high-concept things. I spend my time solving engineering and manufacturing problems. Brand is just the perception, and perception will match reality over time. Sometimes it will be ahead, other times it will be behind. But brand is simply a collective impression some have about a product. People should pursue what they're passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. I'm interested in things that change the world or that affect the future and wondrous. New technology where you see it and you're like, wow, how did that even happen? How is that possible? I've actually not read any books on time management. As much as possible, avoid hiring boss. MBA programs don't teach people how to create companies. For me, it was never about money, but solving problems for the future of humanity. I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, but to get things done. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. Constantly seek criticism. A well-thought-out critique of whatever you're doing is as valuable as gold. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. I say something, and then it usually happens. Maybe not on schedule, but it usually happens. I think we have a duty to maintain the light of consciousness to make sure it continues into the future. Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up. I would just question things. It would infuriate my parents that I wouldn't just believe them when they said something, because I'd ask them why. And then I'd consider whether that response made sense given everything else I knew. The first step is to establish that something is possible, then probably it will occur. I think it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary. You shouldn't do things differently just because they're different. They need to be better. If something's important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure. I always have optimism, but I'm realistic. It was not with the expectation of great success that I started Tesla or SpaceX. It's just that I thought they were important enough to do anyway. People should pursue what they are passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket, as long as you control what happens to that basket. I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. What I'm trying to do is to maximize the probability of the future being better. What makes innovative thinking happen? I think it's really a mindset. You have to decide. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy working. When somebody has a breakthrough innovation, it is rarely one little thing. Very rarely is it one little thing. It's usually a whole bunch of things that collectively amount to a huge innovation. If you get up in the morning and think the future is going to be better, it is a bright day. Otherwise, it's not. There are really two things that have to occur in order for new technology to be affordable to the mass market. One is you need economies of scale. The other is you need to iterate on the design. You need to go through a few versions. I would like to die on Mars, just not on impact. Life is too short for long-term grudges. Persistence is very important. You should not give up unless you are forced to give up.